The moment you see a rusted, half-dead classic car and think, why would anyone destroy their life over this? This video is for you. Because people really do lose their savings, their marriages, and sometimes their entire sense of self over a car that may never even run again. And yes, this is exactly where some mechanics quietly take advantage of that obsession. At that point, the car isn't being repaired. The owner is being slowly milked by hope. If you've ever wondered why someone keeps paying for just one more fix, you clicked the right video. Come on, think about it. Imagine standing in a dim garage, staring at a car that hasn't moved in decades. The paint is peeling, the engine is dead. Everyone else sees scrap metal, but you don't. You see potential. You see a version of the past that still feels alive. Walking away doesn't feel logical. It feels like betrayal. This is where psychology quietly takes over. We project ourselves onto broken things. Psychologists call this projection, when an object starts carrying our unfinished emotions. The car isn't just broken, it's misunderstood, overlooked, just like parts of us. Restoring it feels like correcting a mistake the world made. New things don't need us, broken things do. And that feeling is intoxicating. But here's where it turns dangerous. Once time and money are invested, cognitive dissonance kicks in. That's the mental discomfort we feel when reality threatens our self-image. Quitting wouldn't just lose money, it would mean admitting the dream was wrong. So the brain protects itself. It says, just one more repair, one more payment, one more chance. At this stage, logic isn't failing, it's been shut out, and a growing stack of receipts beside the car. This is the exact psychological window where exploitation can happen. Not always out of malice, but through subtle patterns, vague timelines, emotional language instead of technical clarity, endless encouragements like, "You're so close now," or "It would be a shame to stop here." The sunk cost trap tightens. The owner isn't paying for repairs anymore. They're paying to avoid emotional collapse. That's the line where obsession meets manipulation. From an evolutionary perspective, this makes sense. Humans survived by repairing tools, not discarding them. A broken spear wasn't trash, it was survival. That instinct is still alive in us, but in modern life it can misfire, especially when the object we're fixing becomes tied to identity. This is where neuroplasticity comes in. The brain rewires itself around effort. Each small improvement releases dopamine, not for success, but for trying. The struggle becomes the reward. And yet, there's beauty here too. Restoration offers certainty in a chaotic world. Cause and effect. Work equals progress. For the nervous system, this is calming. The vagus nerve responds to focused, hands-on effort, which is why garages feel almost therapeutic. The car becomes a safe container for stress, grief, regret. But when the project becomes the only place those emotions can live, it stops being healing, it becomes hiding. Because sometimes the thing we're fixing is the only place we feel safe. When identity fuses with restoration, failure feels personal. A mechanical setback feels like rejection. And that's when people really will do anything. So here's the quiet question underneath all of this. Whether it's a car, a relationship, or a dream that won't come back to life, are you restoring it or are you hiding inside it? Awareness doesn't mean walking away. It means knowing when effort is growth and when it's just fear wearing hope as a disguise. If this made you see obsession, passion, and even subtle manipulation a little differently, you're not alone. Sit with that thought. And before you pour more time, money, or love into something broken, ask yourself, what part of you are you really trying to fix?